Hello and welcome, everyone. Hope everybody out there is having an incredible day. I hope that we are all looking forward to the weekend. Hopefully, we all got some great plans. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join me. If this is your first time, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Will Zapata. I've had the pleasure for almost a decade helping families convert their home over using renewable energy. I have also been somebody who feels like it's been a lifetime on a journey for freedom, and by freedom we mean by fatherhood, we mean freedom, financial freedom. We mean freedom to be able to invest in our health, to be able to invest in ourselves, and freedom to be able to create a more impactful future. Thank you, everyone. This is our Beyond the Solar series, and I'm looking forward to be able to talk about the topic that we're going to talk about today, which basically is the freedom mindset and designing your business to serve your life. This is something that I'm super excited about. I feel like it's something that I have been on a continuous journey on, right? One of the things that I've always been striving for in my life is being able to create freedom for myself. I am a huge proponent of being able to be the designer, the artist, the coder, is that if that's the word, or the person that can code their own life and be able to cultivate a life that is going to be beneficial for them, for their families, and it's something that we can go ahead and fulfill ourselves with purpose. So for today, we're going to be able to talk about balancing entrepreneurship, balancing parenthood, balancing other things in your life while being able to create a life that's much more purposeful and much more intentional for yourself. So stick around. We're going to definitely get into some good topics. I'd love to be able to see the comments and get some feedback from everybody that's joining us, whether you're watching this now or you watch this at a later time. I'm definitely always looking for a way that I can continue to add value to you and other people that I have yet met. If you've been here before, you know that I am a big proponent of being able to be in the service of other human beings and for us to work on being the best version of ourselves. So for this session here, we're going to talk about, balancing again entrepreneurship and also being a parent. I recently saw that a lot more people, what they call Generation Z, or maybe even after, are less likely to go into colleges and are looking for ways that they can create a trade. They also have the highest numbers of younger people starting businesses, and I think that part of the reason is that we want to be able to have freedom in our lives, and for some of us, freedom is just simply having more time in the mornings that you can go ahead and drop off your kids at school. Maybe it means that you come home early enough that you can enjoy dinner with your family. Maybe it means that you're able to homeschool your family. Maybe it means that you're able to create a bit more income that allows you to travel and see how beautiful the world is. But the whole point of it is to empower ourselves to designate or to create or to design or to paint the beautiful life that we all deserve to have, especially when we're putting in the hard work, especially when we're being focused and we're looking at the long term to be able to create a legacy. Some stats that I saw was that a good portion, over 82% of 82% of business owners find themselves losing sleep, getting less sleep than before, whether it's due to financial reasons, maybe it's due to lack of production, maybe it's just due to not having enough family time. And we want to be able to create a set of goals and values that it's aligned with the kind of lives that we want to live and what steps are needed in order for us to be able to create that. So with that being said, I want to talk about what the 5 points we're going to go over, right? Which is one, valuing or actually clarifying your values and what your priorities are. The second one is evaluating your current business model, right? We can always use a little bit of tweaks. Aligning your income streams with your definition of freedom. Designing a schedule and creating boundaries. Systems, delegations, automation that you can utilize, mental health and community support. And the last one, resilience, growth plans, and financial management. Ooh, I love talking about money. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and start with what our first point is. Remember, we're always looking for people to be able to engage with us. That way, we can, make it more tailored to how we can help other people, how we can help one another, and build a community of people that want to be able to have a life full with purpose. So, the first thing that we want to talk about is clarifying the values and the priorities that we have in our lives, right? And looking at it, in order for you to be able to have a life that is free, that has a life that serves you, we need to realize what is the things in our life that is actually priority to us, right? What are the things that we find the most important? And what I like to always think about is if I only had a list of three things, yes, I'm narrowing it down to three things simply because once you get past five, now it starts to become harder and harder to accomplish the most priority things, right? And one of the things we need to realize is that we're not going to be able to do everything that we want in life. So why don't we be able to double and triple down on the things that matter the most to us, right? So when it comes to looking at the things that you want to value and prioritize, is what does freedom really mean to you, right? Again, like we mentioned, does freedom mean having some time in the morning to spend with your kids? Does freedom mean, you coming home early to be able to have dinner or do homework with them? Does it mean that now you're able to travel more? Are you able to prioritize your health, right? Looking at what are the things that are going to give you the best ROI, the return on investment, not in the sense of money, but in the sense of your time. One of the ongoing themes that you'll see here in our Beyond the Solar series is that the whole point of us creating freedom is really to be able to give ourselves back some more time, right? For us to be able to do the things that we want to do, for us to be able to spend more time with our families, be able to be more involved with our children. And that is why I am fascinated at the idea that more and more of us want to be able to use entrepreneurship to designate what our life can look like, right? So what does freedom actually mean to you, right? And what are some rituals that we can go ahead and put into practice that are going to fulfill and nurture our soul, right? So for me, I'll just use myself as an example, and it's family time, right? Like, what are certain rituals that I do not break at all? And one of them is going to be, whether it's dinners, and again, these are just some examples, right? Am I, giving myself a cutoff time that as soon as I get in the home, cell phones go off, notifications go off, I'm not looking at my laptops, and I'm just being focused on maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe it's an hour, maybe it's, the rest of the night that you have, but you're able to designate it to your children, right? At the end of the day, kids don't need all your time. They just need you to be all in on the time that you do give them, right? So, create some boundaries for yourself. Be able to designate, okay, what are some rituals that it's like you don't skip, you don't miss, right? It's something that you stay focused on. And ask yourself, like, why is it important to you? How is it able to fulfill your life, right? One of the things that I absolutely love to do that it just nurtures my soul is I love to be able to cook for my family. It is something that it's so hard to calculate how much it just makes me feel, how good it makes me feel inside. I love being able to look at the different foods, the different spices, and create something that I put a lot of time and effort and a lot of love to be able to feed my family, right? There's nothing that brings probably a bigger smile. You can see it right now. Nothing brings me a bigger smile than being able to cook for my family and do something that shows them how important they are to me. Maybe some of the things that are important to you are the health practices that we do, right? Like, hey, I'm the kind of person where I usually need to get a workout in, right? I've been going through a goal for myself and I've been trying to work out every single day, right? Whether it's I'm going on a 3.5 mile run, or maybe, I might be riding my bike that day. Maybe I am going on more walks, right? Just for that day. You can switch it up to what's best for you, but it's something where you're investing in your health, right? At the end of the day, I think if you were to speak to some of the richest people in the world, and I don't know if you would meet them, and rich can be subjective, right? Because if you have people that love you, if you have people that care about you, if you have food, if you have shelter, you will not believe how rich you truly are. And especially if you have a healthy body to enjoy this beautiful thing that we called life, Trust me, it may not seem it, but you are incredibly, incredibly rich, right? But if you had to ask anybody that was materialistically rich or had access to a lot of capital, right? We know who we're talking about, right? They would give up all the money that they've ever made to be able to be healthy, right? Because being healthy, it just makes you feel good. You're able to really enjoy life, and you can't put a price on it, right? At the end of the day, we haven't figured out how to live forever, but if we can take advantage of our bodies, be able to take advantage of our minds, take advantage of our souls, right, that is going to allow us to be able to live a much more enriched and fulfilled life. So maybe for you, some of the things that you value and prioritize, it's your health, man. You want to make sure that you're in good condition. You want to make sure that you're healthy. You want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. I can't express enough how important it is to be healthy. I can't express enough how important it is for you to feel good about yourself, right? Incorporate your health into your daily life. Incorporate you being healthy as part of the way that you live your lifestyle. And I promise you, you will not regret that for sure. And the other thing is, does freedom mean financially, right? Does it mean that you've been able to use any kind of extra income? Does it mean that you've been able to pay off some debt? I'm a big, big, big proponent as to living well below your means, right? For me, listen, I don't like to follow rules. I don't know what it is. I don't know what got into me. I think life just beat me up so much that I just didn't quit. So I just decided that I'm just going to focus and double and triple down on creating a life that I want. I am the creator of my own world. I am the master of my own universe. And I just decided that I was going to go all in on that, right? But part of the reason why I love to live well below my means is because that allows me to be able to spend more time with my family. That allows me where I don't have to worry about working to pay off a bill. That allows me to know that I can sleep better at night knowing that I'm not burdened with debt, right? Not a big proponent of having debt, man. I get it. Some of us, we either need to take it on. Some of us are in different portions of our lives. Some of us, we have to go through some struggles. That's all part of it. That's what makes the good times the good times. I promise you, if we all had good times all the time, the good times wouldn't feel so good, right? So, get to a point where either you're increasing your skill set, maybe you're taking on extra work for now, but get to the point where you're able to create financial freedom for yourself. I myself, when I started, man, which feels like forever, I started just putting away $25 a week. That increased to $100, and that increased to me putting huge percentages of my income away. And obviously, I understand some of us come from different backgrounds, we come from all different walks of life. This is not something that is easy, right? That's why you want to prioritize things like family and your health first. Allow money to be the last part that you take care of, because at the end of the day, what is money if you can't spend it with people that you love? What's the point of being healthy if you don't have people around you? Not that you shouldn't be healthy, but you want to work on the things that's going to nurture the soul at the end of the day. Believe it or not, some people are so rich that all they have is money. Imagine coming home to a place where you don't have anybody that's waiting for you, you don't have anybody that loves you. For me, there's nothing greater than when I see the smile on my son as soon as I come home. There's nothing greater than me hearing when I'm talking to my daughter on FaceTime, and she says out my name. She calls me papa, but nothing feels better than hearing those words. Probably the greatest thing that you can ever hear. Seeing a smile on your from your children because you're home is probably one of the most beautiful things that you can see, right? So definitely, if you get the opportunity, send in some comments. We'd love to be able to see what are those priorities for you, right? What are the things that add the most value to your lives, right? What does that look like? I'd love to be able to hear from y'all, and definitely just see and learn what other people value for sure. The second portion, right? Evaluating your current business model. Now, we're probably in all different phases of our business, right? Again, not here to tell you how to live your life, but what I'm here to tell you is that as long as you don't give up, anything is definitely possible, right? I think the key to success is just persistent and being able to fail enough and get up and just do it again, right? But basically, look at what your current business model is, right? Is your business model really dependent on just one stream or one product, right? And if it is, hey, maybe you need to double and triple down on that, right? Your business might work in a completely different way. Maybe your business models needs to be able to, diversify and look into other things, because if there's one thing for sure and two things for certain, is that we are always changing. Things are always changing. There are so much innovation that is happening every single day, that the way that we live our lives today may not be the same way that we live our lives tomorrow. One of the biggest examples that I'm seeing is that I cannot believe how many people are shifting from, instead of saying, hey, I'm going to Google that, people are saying, hey, I'm going to chat GBT it now, right? People are using chat GBT more often. People are using AI to be able to flush out their creativity, right? Even for me, I definitely incorporate in using AI more, right? And again, you want to make sure that fundamentally, are the things that you're doing, do they align with your values, right? Like, hey, if, for example, family is super important for you and you got to be home for dinner, maybe you make sure that your business ends at a time where, you can make it home for dinner, right? In today's world, we have so many possibilities, we have so many opportunities, that I think it would be insane for us to limit ourselves and to limit what we're capable of do, right? Also, and this is something I love to do, is look at what task is draining you, like what is causing conflict in your life, right? Like what is causing conflict that is going against your priorities. Maybe those things we need to eliminate or even delegate, right? Which we're going to talk about later on. But look at the things that are just not serving you anymore, and maybe you have to just get rid of those things, right? You will not believe how helpful it is to be able to just eliminate some of the things that don't serve you. One of the things that I've been learning more and more for myself is how to do more with less, right? Instead of having, I'm just using this number, instead of having 10 different things that I have to do in a day, maybe I just look at the most important thing that I have to do. And it might just be that one thing. It could just be that one thing that you have to do throughout the day that changes or eliminates those other nine things, right? Or it takes care of 10,000 things that you have to do by doing the one most important thing on your business, right? Look at your income streams. Are they flexible, right? Do they require you to be on site constantly? Is it taking up a lot of your time, right? And again, if you're lucky enough to do something that you love, maybe it doesn't feel like work, right? Maybe you don't have to create, different streams or flexibility for yourself. Maybe it means that, you can incorporate your life into what your business is. One of the things that I make it a goal to do for myself and for my family is that I don't want to feel like I have to break from where when I'm with my family or when I'm doing business, right? One of the things I love about entrepreneurship is that I can include my children in a lot of the things I do. If you've ever spoken to some of my clients, they'll be the first ones to ask you about how my children are doing. If you go in and you hear our CRM, you can probably hear my son in the background making noise, right? One of the first things I did with my daughter, as soon as she was born, I have a video, is I had a Zoom consultation with a family to help them go solar, but my daughter was able to join me, and I just love that. I just love that opportunity to be able to do that, right? Even though sometimes entrepreneurship or going out on your own can seem scary. The best way to eat an elephant, shout out to Brian Tracy for this, is bit by bit, right? You just do it, you work on it a little bit more every day, you work a little bit more, you work a little bit more, and the whole point is to, in the long run, you're able to create a lifestyle that works conveniently for you, and a lifestyle that doesn't take you away from your family. I'm a big proponent that I don't think entrepreneurship should take away from your family. I think it should embrace them. I think it should be able to set the right foundation to create a great legacy. And I think it's an opportunity for you to be able to utilize the freedom that it brings you to live a more enriched and beautiful life, right? Now, the third part is aligning your income streams with freedom, right? Now, what that basically means is, okay, what is it that you're doing that is possibly either taking away time from the family, or how are you able to utilize the fact that you're going to align your income stream to provide you more freedom, right? And again, This doesn't mean that it only applies to entrepreneurship, right? Some of us have incredible careers, right? That we love what we do. And this is why I say, right, living well below your means should be the goal. And it's not because you're trying to have less in life. I'm not telling you to not enjoy yourself. I'm actually telling you to do the opposite, right? By being able to not have to focus on paying on bills or, having to pay a huge mortgage or having a huge overhead cost allows you to have a lot more flexibility with your income, right? Maybe you make a good amount of money, but you don't need all of it, so you save and you're able to vacation, right? Maybe you're able to retire earlier. Maybe it means that maybe some days, especially with a lot more, opportunities being able to be remote, maybe it means that you can homeschool your kids. Or maybe it means, right, that you don't have to work so much because you were very well with managing your money. One of the things that has helped me, and this is from personal experience that I can speak of, is by me being able to live below my means, it has allowed me to spend a lot more time with my children than I ever thought possible, right? In entrepreneurship, one of the things that you'll learn if you haven't already is that it's very hard to predict what your income will be. So whenever your income is high, you want to take advantage of that, right? You want to make sure that you're taking advantage of that high income and decreasing what your expenses are, because you know that that can obviously, switch, it can flip flop. Sometimes we may lose our jobs. Life is so unpredictable, right? We never know what's going to happen. So by being able to focus on, your income stream aligning with your long-term goal of freedom, it allows you to understand that there are things that we cannot control and to double and triple down on the things that we can control, right? We can control how much money we're saving. We can control how much money we're investing. We can control what we're doing with our extra funds. We can control the experiences that we're able to create, right? Maybe you're in a business where you can diversify your income streams, right? For me, give myself a great example. I started off with solar. Now we're able to offer battery add-ons. We're able to offer HVAC services and other home improvement services that allows us to be able to not just increase the value that we're able to provide to clients, but it also allows us some flexibility, right? Because we all know if one thing is up, something else is down. When this down, it goes up. And like we mentioned before, life can be super unpredictable, right? And then finally, what it allows you to do, right? It allows you to, take an opportunity to brainstorm some new ideas, right? I'm a big proponent where at the end of the day, if you can, maybe for 10 minutes, maybe for an hour, you're able to reflect on how your day was and utilize the fact that you know that life is always changing to maybe be able to enhance your services. Maybe you're able to add some new products. Maybe you're able to, use complementary products. One of the biggest things that we do in solar is that we're able to provide re-roofs along with, solar installation. We're already in the home, so maybe we can provide some energy efficiencies, right? All ideas that we can brainstorm about how we can utilize an overall, different service or complementary product that also increases the value of the lifestyle that the homeowner is living or whoever your customer is or whatever the case might be, right? To be able to create a sense of diversification, not in like necessarily like you should do a whole bunch of things, right, to make money. I think that that is a great myth that's possible only when you're extremely wealthy. So I am not telling you to do 10 different things. No, what I'm telling you is focus on one thing and do that one thing well. And if you feel like, it doesn't hurt that one thing that is creating your income, if it doesn't hurt something that's, or if it doesn't impair with your lifestyle, if it doesn't take away more of your time, maybe you can utilize a complementary service or a complementary product that goes hand in hand with what you're already doing. Remember, I'm a big proponent of doing more with less, right? And taking advantage of, the opportunities that we are presented to us. Um, the other part, right? Designing a schedule and creating boundaries. I love this one, right? When I first started to get into business, when I first started my journey in entrepreneurship, I thought it was the coolest thing to look like you were busy nonstop. I thought that by you being on your phone all the time, texting, I thought that that was the greatest definition of success. And I realized that all that is just keeping you busy and you're just doing busy work and it's not really moving the needle forward, right? Um, you know, I realized that the people that are the most successful are the people that have the most amount of time for themselves, right? Because we haven't been able to figure out yet how to give ourselves more time, and being able to, utilize like time blockers, being able to set times that allows us to focus specifically for work. I love, Jim Rohn would say, when you're in the office, be in the office. When you're working, you're working. When you're at the beach, be at the beach. Don't try to be at the beach with your family while working, and don't try to be at the office thinking about being at the beach with your family. So have very non-negotiable time blocks that you just know that, hey, I have this time set for me to focus. I have this time set for me to work on my business, because I know, I have this time that's set up for my family. I set up for personal things, whether that's dinners, workouts, even if it's movie nights, something that it feeds the soul, right? Look at things, where you have, again, non-negotiable, where you block off time for yourself and your family, right? Don't schedule over them. Don't try to, move it because the client wants to. Listen, between you and I, right? I think that people are going to respect you so much more. And actually, I don't think, I know, but people respect you so much more when you're able to have enough respect for yourself that, you have set time blockers, right? Where you're able to be, to focus on what's important to you, when you're able to focus on the things that matter to you, your customers, your clients, your people, they're gonna understand that, right? Because you know that if you respect yourself well enough, that means that you're gonna respect the other kind of work that you're doing. And remember, at the end of the day, you're your biggest investment. So make sure that you're having the non-negotiable times where you're blocking off, where you're spending it for yourself, for your family, to recharge and to nurture your soul, your soul, right? And this is something that I love to do with my family, right? Have shared calendars and communication. One of our pillars here at Apollo Energy is communication. I think communication is key no matter what relationship you're in. I think it is so important for you to be able to focus on, on being able to make sure that you're always communicating with your family. Relationship is all about communication. Anytime that a relationship breaks down, it's because there is a breakdown in communication, right? So over communicate. I say this to everybody on my team. I say that to my family. Over communicate, right? I like to say how I feel. I like to let them know what's on my mind. I like to let them know what I have planned. Me and my partner, we're always looking and always communicating as to how our day is, especially with my son. And if anybody has children, you know how unpredictable that can be. So definitely take an opportunity to over communicate, man. Write down, what are some time blockers. For us, it's become more and more where Sundays are sacred, right? I do not, I don't take any kind of extra work. I don't take on any appointments on Sundays. Even if I'm doing nothing, that is still my time blocked off to do nothing, right? So, okay. Now, moving on to the fifth point, this is probably one of my favorite points, right? Because I love the idea of systems, delegation, and automation, right? Listen, I am a true believer that if you want to be able to give yourself more time, figure out a way to systemize and automate as much as you can. In today's day and age, we have so many automation tools. We have so many things that can help us organize and prioritize our lives, right? Where whether it's AI, whether it's automation tools like Zapier, definitely take the opportunity to use the great technology that's coming out every single day. Use some fundamental technologies that have been tried and proven to be able to work, and use it to be able to automate a lot. Most aspects of your business if possible, right? I don't think humans are going to go anywhere, but use automation, use AI as a way to be able to enhance the kind of experience that you can create, right? Whether it's using chatbots to be able to respond to clients even if your team has gone home for the day, whether it's using automation to be able to send out scheduled messages, right? Whether it's just using the technology that we have to be able to give us back more time, so that way we're able to focus and double down on the things and the people that are most important to us, right? The other thing is delegation, right? I love the idea of the internet. I think this is why I say We live in probably the greatest time to ever be a human, no matter what all the craziness that's happening out there. Right now is the greatest time to be alive because of the internet, because things like Zoom, like Facebook, like Instagram, like all these technologies that we have, we're able to hire virtual assistants, we're able to hire freelancers, we're able to, utilize the strength of other people to be able to balance what some of our weaknesses are. For me, for example, I rely heavily on my team. I wouldn't be here without my team, right? I'm a person that I have a hard time doing the same thing all the time, right? I love change. Like I told you guys, you'll probably hear me say it. I love the idea of being free. I love freedom, and I rely on my team to be able to take care of some of the tasks that they're just better suited at, right? If you're a real entrepreneur, right, the first thing that you want to do is be able to hire people that can do the job better than you can. Anybody will tell you that, right? And the way that I look at it is I want to work with people that are much smarter than me, right? One, to give me an opportunity to learn, but I just know that I can't do everything. I'm not a what do they call it? I'm not a Swiss Army knife, right? I'm not a jack of all trades, right? I want to focus on one thing, possibly two, but I really want to focus on one thing that is like my superpower that I can do on and on and on, and I would, never get tired of doing, right? And then finally, systems and SOPs, right? Systems of operations. Like definitely take advantage of being able to utilize systems. So that way it takes away the thinking process, right? I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but have you ever been like driving somewhere and you're going somewhere completely different and your brain is just on autopilot, like you were going to go to that same place, right? Sometimes when I'm going to drop off my partner at one of her restaurants, I just go on autopilot like I'm going over there, right? And I don't even have to think about it. That's what systems allow you to do, right? It takes away the thinking, and thinking is what I say. And being able to have a system that works for you, that makes your business run efficiently, it is going to save you so much time. It's going to save you so much headaches. And it's going to give us, most importantly, what we want is being able to be free, right? So the next point that we're going to go to is mental health and community support, right? So this was a survey that I saw, but I saw that in 2025, it showed that 63% of Gen Z and 52% of millennials rated their mental health as less than good. Over half of Generation C respondents would view a brand more positively if it addressed mental health, protecting your wellness or your well-being, right? Is vital. And I couldn't agree with this more. I think that, people my generation and further, right, we've seen that life has not really worked out the way that we have thought it was going to work out. I know for me, I thought that I was going to be at a job for the rest of my life. I took on extra tasks. I worked super hard, and then all of a sudden I just wasn't there no more, right? And I realized that being able to focus on myself is the best investment that I can make, right? Especially if you're young. If you're young and you have so much time, focus on making yourself better, right? Regular exercise, meditating, journaling, spending time with people that you love, looking at the flowers, hugging a puppy, spending time with your children, whatever it is that keeps you young, that keeps you active, take full advantage of it. I promise you, at the end of the day, no amount of money is worth the stress of losing yourself, right? It's just not worth it. Look into support groups, right? There's more and more people now that we can connect with, right? I think that technology should be a tool that we use, not that we allow it to use us, right? A lot of us spend a ton of time on the internet scrolling, but there's a lot of people that I'm sure that we can connect with that are nearby. One of the things that we love to do here close to me is we do this thing called Art in the Park, where we meet with people in our neighborhood to be able to spend time with our children and being able to let their creative juices flow. Definitely create a support group for yourself. Have people that you can count on. Have people that you can depend on. Have people that are here for your best interest, right? Because at the end of the day, we're humans, right? We're a social group of people. We're people that want to be in communities. We're people that want to be with other people that are like us, and take advantage of that, man. Again, no amount of money, no career is worth losing your mental, losing your mind, or giving yourself mental stress, right? At the end of the day, we're human beings, not human doings, right? So we should do more being. And then obviously don't hesitate to get some help, right? If sometimes stress is too hard and you need some, therapy, if you need some coaching to relieve the stress, take advantage of it. At the end of the day, nobody's ever going to look at you, wrong for being able to focus on your mental health. Nobody's going to look at you like you didn't work hard enough because you decided to prioritize yourself, right? So take advantage of being the best version of you, making sure that you're the best thing that you're investing in, right? At the end of the day, your family needs you and they need you in top tip shape. At the end of the day, your business needs you and they need you in top tip shape. And then, like I say, the future you needs you to be in top tip shape, because especially if you're, and I believe, it can be subjective, but like, if you're in my age group, let's just say for example, I always say this to my partner, but even if I was to make it when I'm like 75 years old, right? Let's just say, I hit my goal, I accomplished everything I wanted in life, right? That is a whole nother 30 years from now, right? 30 plus years from now that I have to live life, to smell the flowers, to go through the up and downs, to learn, right? That's all part of it. Struggle, I believe, makes you stronger. Being able to endure makes you stronger. So just continue to work on yourself, right? And if you need some professional help, go for it, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? So, and hopefully you can consider this as a way to be your support. This is why we started this series, my team and I, is because I want to be able to connect with other people. I love human beings. I think that people are so cool, and I would love to be able to connect with people and add value to other people's life. And finally, the final point is resilience, growth plans and financial management, right? Listen, if you want to get into entrepreneurship, if you want to get into anything nowadays, right, you definitely need to require, or it requires you to have some financial resilience. Inflation, capital strains are at the top concerns for small business owners, right? But for the most part, a lot of us never think about money, right? So this is why I say, right, be able to live below your means. Make sure that you have an emergency fund, because we all know how crazy life can be, right? Before we try to spend our money on things that are not important to us, think about how hard you have worked to be able to get the money that you're getting now, whether it's a little bit, whether it's a lot, right? You're the master of your universe. You can decide how you can do that with hard work and persistence, right? But you want to be able to give yourself a buffer. You want to be able to give yourself some flexibility. And nothing gives you more flexibility than not having to worry like about paying next month's rent or next month's bills, right? Invest strategically. And I don't mean like I'm gonna give any kind of marketing or investing advice, right? What I really mean is like invest in yourself, right? Make sure that you're investing in a style that makes sense for you. The way that I like to do it, right? And again, I'm not here to give anybody investment, strategy advice or tell you what to do with your money. Really, I'm here to help you discover, or I'm here to be able to help all of us discover, or also discover myself what works for me. For me, right, I don't like debt. I don't like to be burdened by, bills. I don't like to think about it, right? Really, the biggest investment I have is probably me owning a home. Even when I bought my home, I made sure to have a good substantial amount of money put away for maintenance, for things like, if let's say, my career change, for emergencies, even before I decided to buy a home, right? Because if you guys have been here before, I have been living well below my means because I knew that I'm trying to create a legacy. I'm trying to focus on what's important to me, and I'm trying to be present for my family, right? And I can't do that if I'm burdened by debt and I need to work all the time, right? Monitor your cash flow. I think we need to talk about money more. I think that money should be a topic that we talk at all dinner tables with your family. I think that it's something that we need to include our children in. I think it's something that we need to include our spouses in, and make them understand, and also make sure that all our visions are aligned when it comes to what kind of life we want to live. I always talk with my partner about what I want to do with money. I always talk about like how we're going to live our lifestyle. I always talk about, the goals that we have for the future. Hint, hint, I want to do an off-grid home, right, where we can grow our own food, right? I know that's going to take some time, but I always talk about what's important, right? I always let them know like me being able to serve them is the most important thing that I can do. I love when I cook for my other half. I love when I'm able to cook for my children. It just brings me so much joy, and monitoring my finances allows me to not have that burden in the back of my mind. It allows me to alleviate that stress. I promise you, right? I don't think that you can avoid all stress, but I think that we can manage it. And by not having money be one of our biggest, stress or by not having cash flow be one of the things that bring us mental stress, I promise you it's going to make everything else seem so much easier, right? And then obviously, when it comes to growing your business, always think about recruiting, right? Think about what things you can offload. Think about, what tasks other people are just better suited for, right? For me, I can't do the same thing every single day. I just don't operate that way. But I will talk to 100 people before I have to do the same thing every day, right? But that's why I rely on my team, because they help me be the best version of myself. They help me being able to, focus on what makes me happy. They help me, focus on what's the most important thing, right? So, you know, I know we definitely covered a lot, right? Today, kind of going, or creating a summary for what we went over is clarifying what matters to you, right? Evaluate and, redesign your business model. If you have to change some things, go ahead and change it. If you have to get rid of some things, go ahead and do it. But do the changes that you need to do in order to live a more purposeful life and to give you back the most important thing, which is time, right? Align your income streams, right? Setting up schedules and boundaries, leveraging systems and automation and AI to be able to give you back more time so you can spend it with your family. You can have dinner with them. You can put them to bed. You can prioritize, their well-being, right? You can prioritize your health. All those things that are going to be able to allow you to live a much more fulfilled life, right? So I'm definitely looking forward to being able to hear what does freedom look like for y'all. I'd love to be able to, get some messages. I'd love to be able to get some comments. If you guys can share with me what freedom means to you, what does that look like? What does your life look like if you were to paint it perfectly, if you were to live with purpose? So definitely looking forward for us to have our another long form meeting. Definitely looking forward to be able to continue to add value to everybody here. Thank you so much for allowing me to, speak to you, to be able to share with you what's in my heart, what's in my soul. And at the end of the day, I hope that everybody's able to work and, march and, march towards living a life with purpose and being able to live a life that's designated for them and for the people they love. That's the end of it for me today. I hope that everybody has a great rest of their day. Take care.